Is this plant safe for my pets? Hello everyone, I'm Adina from plantsbutbetter, and today we're talking about this beautiful compact plant, Dwarf Sansevieria. This one is no different than any regular Sansevieria. It will need the same amount of care, and it is one of the plants that stays compact, so it will not take over your home. It will stay like this basically forever. For the care meter, we give this plant a 9 out of 10 because it's super easy to care for it, and we highly recommend it for beginners and for travelers or busy people because this plant thrives in neglect and you don't really need to do a lot to make it happy. Let's talk about light. Where should you place this plant? So although it has a reputation of a low light plant, I wouldn't recommend you put it in a dark spot because this is the best way to get it to slowly die. Unfortunately. The best type of light for Dwarf Sansevieria is bright indirect light or medium light. It can grow in medium light as well. And just a little something to convince you to place it in a bright indirect light is this pup right here. I hope you can see it. Okay, so the better the light, the better the growing, and this will give you new plants if you give it proper light. I experimented with it, and in the summer I left it outside in partial shade and it did great. So if you have a balcony, you can definitely put it outside in the summer. Just make sure that this plant doesn't get harsh direct sunlight because it will get burned easily. And if your home doesn't have enough light, you can definitely help it with a grow light. I did that as well, and the plant was okay. And yeah, let's move on to watering. This Sansevieria, like any other snake plant, is happy with underwatering. So I water mine once every 2 to 3 weeks regarding of the season, and I make sure I check the soil every time before watering because it needs to be completely dry. What about temperature? How hot she likes it? The dwarf snake plant will be very happy in average temperatures. I keep mine somewhere around 23 to 24 degrees Celsius, and I don't advise you to let it drop below 15 degrees Celsius. Plants don't usually like cold drafts and cold in general. They will get mushy and then they will slowly die, so please be careful about that. What about humidity? I would say low to average humidity is best for this plant, so you don't need to mist it, you don't need a humidifier. This will do great in your average home humidity. Let's just say something around 40 to 60% is great. Moving on to fertilizing. How often should you feed it? You can do it once a month during growing season. This is actually around spring to early fall. And in the winter I usually stop, but if your plant is still growing, you can definitely feed it as well, but with a more diluted solution and less often. The NPK ratio I like to use is a very balanced NPK of 10-10-10 or 20-20-20, but I did try in the past very different ratios, and I find that this plant is very resilient, so you can try almost anything. What about substrate? This one will do great in a lightweight mix. So for example, mine has cacti soil, some perlite, and some coco coir. And the Sansevieria is growing, so that's proof that this mix is working. Whatever you choose, please don't use just regular potting soil. I keep saying that in almost every care video. Regular potting soil is usually too heavy on the roots, and you may consider adding a little bit of perlite to make it more lightweight and to help the water drain faster. What about plastic versus terracotta? Well, to state the obvious, mine is in plastic, but I did have it in terracotta before. Not this plant in particular, but others. There is no need to worry about this. Dwarf Sansevieria does great in both mediums, so whatever you choose, it will grow fine. If you like terracotta more, please check the soil a little bit more often, because terracotta is porous and it helps the water evaporate faster. And if you underwater for too long, you'll start to notice wrinkly leaves, and you want to be avoiding that as well. What about repotting? I have to wait a bit more for this one to be repotted, because you usually want to do that when the roots are coming out of the pot or when you want to separate a new offset and have a new plant. Sansevierias in general need to be repotted when it's strictly super necessary. And if you change the soil too often when it's not the time to do it, this will actually affect the roots and they will take longer to recover. What about propagation? And then again, I can totally show off with this new offset because this is the best way to propagate your Dwarf Sansevieria by division. I tried it with leaf cuttings as well and I wasn't so successful, so I don't have an example to show you. And that's why the safest way you can do it is by division. What does it mean? You just wait for a new bulb to grow and wait until it's stable enough. So I would wait a little bit more on this one, and then you can remove it from the mother plant and place it into a new pot. And that's it, you have a new plant. Good, what about pests? Fortunately, I didn't have any problem with my Sansevieria, and I hope you don't have any problem with yours either. But I think the pest that could be problematic for this plant is scale or maybe mealybugs. We will have, if we don't have it already, videos for every kind of pest there is out there, so we will definitely link them in the description box. But the best thing you can do for now is to check the plant every time you water it. That's how you can spot any problem in time and you can defeat an infestation rapidly. And yeah, that's all I got for you today on the pest segment. Last but not least, is this plant safe for my pets? And it is not. So please keep it away from any curious pets and be very mindful if something is happening. And I think you kind of know everything at this point. If you like this video, we encourage you to give it a thumbs up because this will help the message spread even faster. You can also find a detailed blog post about this plant in the description box. And until next time, take care of yourself and your plants.